Hey guys, welcome to Grounded Roots Healing. My name is Jason. Um, today, today I'm going to talk about walkouts. So you may have heard of walk-ins, as Dolores Cannon explains them. But walkouts is kind of a new concept for me. In fact, I just heard about it, and it triggered an idea, and I immediately got a download as to how I think this is going to go. So, before I get started on that, how are those energies? So, I have been going through some ascension symptoms, to put it lightly. And it's in the form of a chest cold, but it's a lot more than that. It's in my mind clearly ascension symptoms. And it's centered around the throat chakra, which I suspect means I need to clear some stuff out about the throat chakra around it. Not suspect. That is how it goes. Now, we just finished the Christmas visits, and, that's of course how you get sick in the first place. Traveling around, plus my son ended up getting sick, and that whole fiasco with the hospital visit. So, and then you're at someone else's home, you're not sleeping properly. I don't sleep properly anyway. You're exposed to chemicals, yada yada yada. Then you end up like this. Now, in my mind, this is all scripted, and this is the way it was supposed to go, and this is the form that this particular type of energy clearing takes. So, I'm struggling to breathe a little bit, trying not to cough on camera, and I got low energy, for sure. But I figured I'm out here, and I might as well do some of this. So over the holidays, as people, let's talk about the little devil on your shoulder, these monitoring spirits, the entities that step in and cause you to say things you wouldn't normally say, or do things you wouldn't normally do, or triggers old memories, and all of this stuff at a level of this simulation is triggered by these low vibrational entities. Now, if you go high enough, this is all under the umbrella of God. Therefore, they don't exist. They're just God. They're an extension of you. I mean, it depends on where you want to approach this problem from. So, I got something in my eye. But from the level of, say, 5D down, that's what they are. Now, there's certain people in environments, well, before I get into that, there's certain people in the environment that we live in that are firmly in the grasp of these entities. They are under complete control. Most of them do not know that this is what's happening. Some do. Some people lean into this. Now, you're vulnerable to them if you have a lot of trauma. They access you through your cracks, through the damage, which more than likely was inflicted upon you by someone who was under the possession of one of these entities in the first place. So they feed off of pain and suffering and fear. And they inflict it generationally through families And it doesn't stop, and it hasn't stopped since humanity existed, at least on the level of 5D down. They go higher than this, but they become less of an issue up there. Let's put it that way. They are infinitely more wise or intelligent than a human being, but they pale in comparison to an angel, let's say. So there's some people that unfortunately end up in our lives, and they are firmly under the possession of these entities. Like I said, this is depends on the perspective you're looking at the problem from. But at this level, like I said, they are actual separate entities, but we know there is no separation. So for the purpose of talking about walkouts, I need to explain it this way. So your soul is inhabited by you. Your soul is that didn't make sense. Your vessel is inhabited by your soul, your higher self, your extension that expands outward and eventually gets to the level of God or the Creator or whatever you'd like to call it. And some people get co-opted, and their soul, the part of their soul that would be of the light, gets pushed to the back and isn't running the show. And I'm convinced that some people are even completely possessed by low vibrational entities, let's call them. So my nickname for them is LPs. You can figure out what that means, what that stands for. These people would be referred to as narcissists, and they are difficult to rehab. They cause a lot of damage, and that's on purpose as far as they're concerned, and as far as the play that we're all living in down here is concerned as well. They are strategically placed in families and in situations in order to inflict the maximum amount of damage so that they can live off of that. They feed off of it. Okay, so you've got people that are firmly entrenched in the light. You have people that are of the light and have cracks that are where they're attacked, which is the majority of us, through these cracks in our armor, which are caused by trauma and inflicted on us by beings under their control. And you have some entities, some beings that are completely controlled and are well, I don't know who's not able to be rehabilitated, but now these are the people, these are the entities, these are the reasons that people do things and say certain things to get to you. This is the snide comment. Their ego gets triggered and it causes them to say things that are hurtful. And as you heal yourself and you set up your boundaries and your protection, you start to realize that that's what's happening. So over this Christmas break, I found myself in a profound state of quietness. I found it very difficult to participate in the small talk. I had no idea what to say because I just don't care. And it's impossible for me to do that anymore, to talk about the weather or politics. I don't care. I know it doesn't matter. I'm hip to it. I'm awake. And I just can't even feign interest in it anymore. So that was difficult. It also made me quiet. And I found myself like observing the conversations and watching each person's ego interact with the other person's ego, and watching opinions come out that are based on what's happened to this particular person in their life. And it just went on and on and on. I was fascinated. There were a few occasions where I could see that they had let in some low vibrational entity, and they were actively trying to trigger me. And I did get annoyed a little bit, but eventually, pretty quickly, I figured out what was going on, and I just walk away from the situation. And this happened a few times, but for the majority of the time, I just found myself sitting there quietly observing, like an anthropologist of sorts. And then I talked to Amanda after we got back home, and she's like, now you're starting to see. This is what I've been doing my whole life. She'd been doing this her whole life. And everybody always labeled her as shy. And the whole time, she's not shy at all. She's just observing and was awake from the beginning, pretty much. She got drawn into things, definitely. She has her own challenges, but she's always been aware that none of this really mattered. And it was because she was sensitive to energies, and she knew that when you participate in this garbage talk, it draws you down and makes you feel bad. So she would avoid it like the plague, which made everyone think she was shy. But in reality, she was just smarter than everybody else. Okay, so these entities are around us, right? Well, I mean, there is no space, there is no time, so everything is around us. But again, I'll just stick to the 5D and below, a little bit higher than that. Say 7 dimensions, which aren't dimensions, by the way, but I'm getting off topic. So we'll call them D. 7D down, there's space and time, sort of. And down here, there definitely is space and time. At least it's simulated. So they're around us. That's my whole point of that. They're around us, they're affecting us, and we know, or should know by now, that the entire planet is ascending. Which means the vibration of the planet itself is going from a 3D to what people call 5D, which is actually fifth frequency. And as that ascends, these low vibrational entities, which are in the 4th frequency and below, can't stay. It's unpalatable to live here. So they need to get out of here. Which means, as the entire planet ascends, where are these things going to go? They're the things that are causing all the problems in the world. You know, there's still human ego, but this triggering effect should disappear as these entities disappear. Now, the walk-in concept is Dolores Cannon coined the term, I believe, but it's when, say, you're ready to delete yourself from the simulation, instead of wasting the entire life of that person because the soul no longer wants to inhabit the body, right before you're ready to delete yourself from the simulation, in walks a different soul who hasn't suffered through all the trauma and takes over, so it doesn't have to start from baby onward. Speeds up the process. It's a concept, and she was convinced that it was real, and I suspect it is real on, like I said, on these lower levels. Now, if you can have walk-ins, can you have walk-outs? So if these entities can no longer be here, and you have someone who's a confirmed narcissist or psychopath, which would be someone completely under the control of one of these things, can, as the energy walks, excuse me, as the energy of the planet raises and the vibration raises, and they can no longer stay here, what happens to that body? Can that entity walk out and a healed entity of the light take over that body? Now, I'm bringing this up. I think so. I think that that's how this is going to go. I've often been wondering what's going to happen to all these people, because there's quite a few of them. Are they just going to be deleted? And I was hoping that that wasn't the case, because there's a lot of humans who are possessed by these. I mean, it's going to be great when you no longer, if you have cracks, they're no longer exploited by these entities. So people that are going through the healing process will have a much easier time of it, unlike myself, who've had to suffer with these bloody things. But, of course, it's all a play, right? But can we, what's going to happen to these ones? People who are completely under the control of one of them. And I think that's how it's going to go. And I've often wondered how this transition from what we call the 3D Earth to the 5D Earth, or the new Earth, how's that going to go? Like nuts and bolts. How is that actually going to happen? Are people just going to start dropping like flies? And I think some will. I think some will actually leave the place where we are currently. And I think a good chunk of them are going to go that way. I think that's what's going to happen. So you're going to have people that have done horrible things under the control of an entity that are going to require forgiveness. Which it seems nuts, but you know, I'm not the same person I was before I had my awakening. All of the things that I did before that date of last Christmas, I've had to forgive myself for, because I was not awake. It's like being a zombie. And, you know, when Jesus said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do," that's what he meant. You are not awake. You have no idea what you're doing. Now, the ones who do know what they're doing, that's going to be a tough one. But if you can separate the difference, that the body is just a vessel, and that the entity possessing that vessel right now is completely different, then it's not the same person at all. It's almost like Star Trek, if anyone knows the character of Dax, this new Next Generation. It was an entity that possessed, they cohabited a body, and the entity, which like a parasite almost, jumped from body to body through time, so like our souls do. So that's an interesting concept that I thought I would talk about, and I thought about it because I've had people, and they are watching this, for sure. They're watching this. And I think, I hope, I pray that these people who absolutely despised me start to see the light as they get some relief from this torment that they're undergoing, that they can find some peace and let go of that hatred for someone who's done nothing to them in the end. But when you're under the control of one of these things, you can't see the light. You know who you are. You've been watching my channel for a long time. And I've done nothing to deserve the hate you direct towards us. I can feel it. I can feel it when I'm in the environment, physically. I can feel it through different thoughts that pop up in my head. That doesn't just happen, by the way. And it's palpable, or it was. Now, I've recently had an experience where I was exposed to a person that I am certain absolutely hates me, and I felt nothing. Normally I would. Normally I could sense them from a distance, actually. This ability to sense energies doesn't just go for the good stuff. So, like I said, I can sense crystals, different things, but like energy centers on the planet, I'm very good at detecting where the high energy centers are. I can detect people who have ill will towards me, like it's like a radar. So there was one particular in person, and like I said, I know you're watching, that I could know right away. I wouldn't have to know where I was in order to detect you. But I recently was exposed to you, and I felt nothing. So I don't know if you've undergone a change. I hope so. Or you've let go of that anger. Or I'm just better at protecting myself from it. I'm not sure. But I send you love and light. I hope it's one of the first two. I hope you're getting better. I hope you get relief from this. I hope everybody does. I hope that's the way the story that we're in, this soap opera, goes. That everybody just gets better. And we can all just let go and move on to this glorious new earth that we're all promised. So, I think I'll leave it there. Like I always say, I hope this video finds you well. I love you all, including my haters. And we'll see you tomorrow.